My name is Adam White, and I'm serving in more than one setting, which makes me a bivocational pastor. I am most of the time here at the Virginia Episcopal School, where I'm chaplain and religion department chair. And we're actually broadcasting from the Langern Memorial Chapel here at VES, Virginia Episcopal School, here in Lynchburg. And when I'm not here at VES, I'm pastoring the Chestnut Hill United Methodist Church and the Southview United Methodist Church.
Well, my name is Atul Dhanaved, and I'm pretty much a bivocational pastor too. I work part-time as a local licensed pastor in the city of Danville, serving in 3 churches, and I'm also a full-time chaplain. I'm a corporate chaplain working for an industry.
You know, I think the call to this particular ministry, where I am here at the school, began really, kind of early in my career. After about sort of 10 years in parish ministry, I sort of sensed kind of a shift in the call, if you will, to get involved in educational ministry. I always enjoyed the arts of teaching. I enjoyed young people. I loved the dynamic of the season of life that I am able to work with. Here we have 9th to 12th graders in a boarding environment who are here, most of them living together in a community, which is a dynamic that I felt was really unique, and a ministry that I wanted to get involved with. So my calling to be in a bivocational setting really began with the call to educational ministry, first as a college chaplain at Sweetbriar College, and now more recently, for the past 14 years, here at VES as their chaplain. And so that desire to work for an institution, to kind of reach beyond the walls of the church, to connect with young people, to be involved in the educational journey, the instructional journey, as well as the kind of therapeutic support journey that the life of a school requires. That's really sort of what led me to this. And then when I began to do work outside of the walls of the church, I realized how much I missed the church. And so being able to serve in a weekend capacity, to be able to carve out the time to be a pastor in a local church setting as well, has been really rewarding. And it's allowed me to balance, I think, the life of the local church, which has its own distinct flavor, and the life of an educational setting, which has its own distinct flavor.
Very nice, yeah. Yeah, my thing is, I never thought I would become a chaplain or a pastor, because most of my life was spent in the profession of dentistry. And I worked as a dentist in India, in Saudi Arabia, and came with the same goal to become a dentist in USA. I passed the US national boards, but then I found that since my immigration status was not, as a citizen, but as a visitor and a student, the expense for the residency schools was pretty high, which I couldn't bear at all. And therefore, I decided to work in a local dental office. And I've always been a people lover, no specific age group. I always love people. And based on my experiences in India, which is a diverse culture, and Saudi Arabia, where I met predominantly Muslims, and then I came to the US, so it was a newer environment, but different people, different faces. And I loved people. I interacted with people coming to the dental office, as I was working as an assistant, a clinical assistant to the dentist, local dentist, where I worked for almost 22 years. But I was also going to the United Methodist Church and an active member of the men's group in the United Methodist Church. And there one senior person came to me one day and he said, "Why don't you explore chaplaincy? You seem to be a good fit for chaplaincy." Meanwhile, during this period, I was already heading a prayer group or a home group in Delaware. And I was actually coordinating, and I was one of the leaders of this home group for almost over 15 years. So I had that experience past, but I never recognized that I had the gifting.
Yes, yes.
So when I the person who told me, why don't you explore chaplaincy, he said, we have one of the best chaplaincy programs in the country in Christian Hospital at Delaware. So I tried and I was denied twice. The third time they took me in and I knew this was it. They didn't want to leave me, they kept me there. I went through internship, residency and the fellowship program at Christian Hospital as a chaplain. But during those times I began to understand my calling. Because I interacted with people, end of life calls, ICU, meeting with the older people, listening to stories and people from different backgrounds, be it faith or financial or socio-economical background. I could see that I love this. And many a times I had to go for funerals and extend pastoral care to them. And then I thought, okay, I have that hidden quality of even the gift of pastoring people. So being a United Methodist and I've done chaplaincy and this experience in seminary told me to explore pastoring also. And that's how I ended up with both being a pastor and a chaplain. And I love these two professions passionately. Dentistry was my first love, but now I feel that why did I join chaplaincy or pastoring so late in life? But I'm happy where I am. And that's why I chose chaplaincy as well as the bivocational work. I cannot separate both of them, at least of today.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, one of the things that I enjoyed most, being a college chaplain and then working in the local church and being a boarding school chaplain and working in the local church is this exposure that these other settings give us to working with people of different faiths and the interfaith work that we're able to do. So the things that we do here, for example, to support our Muslim students during Ramadan and make sure that they can attend to the fast as they would want to. Frequently when Passover comes along, or Yom Kippur, or Rosh Hashanah, our noonday prayer for a meal will be, I'll do it in Hebrew, just to kind of point the connections with the other faith traditions of which we're brothers and sisters. And that's something you would not normally get in the church. In the church, it's really one kind of thing, right? We are United Methodist Christians. So one of the great things in my experience of bivocational ministry is working with a larger community that is multi-faith, no faith, exploring, seeking. I like the fact that we get to do something that fits the mold in parish ministry, but also sort of breaks the mold in the world, which has been good.
Yeah, it reminds me of practical holiness and bringing the faith in everyday life. That's what chaplaincy teaches you, because our ministry is not only from the pulpit, it is outside the walls. And that's why he said it so well, John Wesley, the world is my parish. And I can actually experience that doing both chaplaincy and pastoral ministry. Because in a church setting, you are addressing the people of your own faith.
Yes.
Outside of that, in the workplace, you meet people where they live, where they work, where they suffer, where they struggle.
Yes.
And you are there, and it's pretty much like the ministry of Christ. He met people at their different circumstances in life, no matter who they were. And that was the gospel. And I believe by doing this outside the walls of the church and inside the church, we are bringing the gospel message of love and compassion to the people around, despite their faith and background.
Yeah.
And one more thing about this chaplaincy is about helping people coming from different countries. I'm actively taking part in helping with the immigration process for many immigrants. And then learning languages, then you look for the translation systems, and we have a translation system in place where I work.
Right.
So I get to know the different cultures, what they like. So it's a beautiful thing to see, as they say, what a wonderful world it is.
What a wonderful world it is.
It completely aligns with the scripture. Different tongues, different nations, and then there is that diversity, and you see that unity in diversity, and you get to play that vital role in bringing this together.
Yes.
And chaplaincy and pastoring actually goes deeper into my knowledge of my faith and my growth in my calling.
Yes, yes.
And it's all about connection, human connections, not about who you are, what you are. And that paints a greater picture of, equity, inclusivity,
Yes, yes,
and equality.
yes,
So I think that makes a lot of sense to me through these ministries.
yes,
And I wouldn't separate both of them because it's basically ministry. We are ministering to human beings.
yes.
And as we describe chaplaincy, we call it as compassionate and spiritual pastoral care, exploring the diverse beliefs of people,
Yes,
honoring their life experiences, and empowering them with resources towards a meaningful life, both at work and outside of work.
yes, yes.
And as a corporate chaplain, I get to see many things of people about marriage, childcare, workplace relationships, other relationships, finances, sickness, injuries,
Yes.
even crime,
Yeah, yeah.
all those things. So you get to see a lot of things, transportation issues, housing. So it's like you are in every area that a person faces, you are approaching them and addressing those concerns.
Right.
And since you give them that, you make them feel comfortable with your presence in their space,
Yeah.
they open up because they know these conversations are confidential.
Yes, yes.
So building up trust is very important both in ministry as well as in chaplaincy. So I think I would unite them together as a ministry
Right. Yeah.
to people
Yes,
in general,
yes,
without defining them as they belong to this faith or that faith.
yes, yes.
That's the true gospel, I think.
Yes. One of the things that I've enjoyed about being here is that 20% of our campus population are international students. So when I teach the world religions class, right, I'm often, teaching from a perspective as a Christian person, addressing the value of the faiths of the world, and it's often nice to have people who are active participants in those other faiths of the world in the class, and I think that brings a richness. And the idea that 20% of those students who come to VES from abroad will ultimately go to American universities. And so you're part of sort of launching them from sort of one cultural experience to the next, and helping them kind of find their way in the melting pot.
Okay.
What's been most challenging about bivocational ministry? Atul, what do you think? What do you think the challenges are?
The thing that comes to my mind immediately is the number of commitments you have. There are so many time constraints. I can clarify that in the sense, when you have too many commitments to work as well as in the ministry,
Yes.
are you able to balance it with your personal spiritual health, your family time, your relationships with others?
Yes.
Are you really going deeper into what you should be doing to nurture your spiritual health?
Yes,
Are you
yes.
into the Word?
Right.
So actually, that has helped me to manage my time and be very particular about my appointments and consultations.
Yeah,
Of course, as a chaplain or even as a pastor, I'm on call 24 hours.
Yes.
But we attend to those things, but we have to sometimes find healthy boundaries where we can give proper attention to our families.
Yes.
We cannot lack. So to me, I've nurtured my faith and my discernment and my deeper in my calling is by making sure that I devote my personal time to prayer and scripture along with my wife.
Yes.
So I try to give that because that becomes the most precious time which builds you up for the ministry outside
Right,
once
right.
you step out of it.
Gas in the tank,
Exactly.
as it were.
So that's the challenge we have. Also, there is one more thing that in pastoring is, if you are a part-time pastor, sometimes the congregation is so used to full-time pastoral ministry,
Yes.
they expect more from the part-time.
Yes.
So sometimes it becomes difficult to keep everybody happy.
Right.
It takes time for them to understand and for you to understand them.
Yes.
So that's a bigger challenge also. And I believe, that's the thing. Sometimes you need your own emotional replenishing Are you in that right, strong enough to address the different emotions you see?
Yes.
Anger, grief, bitterness,
Right.
joy,
Frustration.
all those,
Yes,
frustration,
yeah.
loss and stuff. So how do you address those? Are you equipped well to address those concerns
right.
of people around you?
Some things that I've found helpful over the years is in my parish settings, I always take one Sunday off a month, which allows me to be, full-time here at the school, but then also to serve the congregation effectively, knowing that if I really was full-time, as it were, every single Sunday, that would probably become untenable. And so that we've worked out a system with the congregations that I'm off one Sunday per month. That has, I think, been a real saving grace, if you will. And it's allowed me to work in some respite that I might not otherwise have. So that really has been a gift. But I think that intentionality around spiritual disciplines is important. I have found that the gift, I think, to bivocational ministry is that it sharpens my effectiveness to schedule. It makes me think about my use of time. In the years that I was a full-time local pastor, a day would involve going into the office and just kind of being there and being available and catching up with perhaps the administrative assistant. And there's these blocks of time that are not unimportant, but they in some ways sort of lack focus, right? And so what I find now is that a lot more communication happens by text. I get texted by the leadership of the churches. I get texted by the administrative assistant at Chestnut Hill. And when someone's in the hospital, I just plan that when I have a long lunch or I'm not teaching a particular class during the day, I just skip across town and visit them at the hospital. And I like that focus. I like that it makes me think about how do I deliver the maximum amount of meaningful contact with my community, with my parishioners, and still do everything else. So I like the thrift of time it creates. It creates a focus on how do I get the most, bang, if you will, out of the time that I have for people. And not long ago, the Berkeley Divinity School at Yale held a seminar called Part-Time is Enough. And it dealt with this idea of getting Episcopal clergy to think about part-time ministry as something that's valuable and useful. Because again, it's a way that you can be sharp in doing it, investment of the time, which I think is important. And then also, I think as we see churches getting smaller, as we see decline as something that we honestly sort of have to deal with, congregations that are smaller can be served by a seasoned pastor because we have this other thing that in many ways our bread and butter daily sustenance, right, is being provided by the other thing that reduces the burden for churches that do already have some burdens, financially and otherwise. And I see us being in the place where we are able to keep many doors open, doors in terms of opportunity, but doors also in terms of actual churches remaining open. So
you mentioned financial. That's the struggle that most of the clergy or chaplains face many times, because we got to remember that everybody has a dream. Everybody has something to look after retirement, and that can be a challenge to many clergies. I'm just putting it there. I mean, not that I'm facing that, but that's another thing that I hear people. And I've seen about the challenges that this bivocational ministry are experienced by certain clergy or chaplains. Is they give up one of the profession completely to just focus on one.
Yes.
I know one of our chaplains who just gave up his pastoring to be a full-time chaplain. And it's the reverse with another one.
Yes.
Left chaplains to be chaplaincy to be in full-time ministry. So it differs from individual to individual. But as far as the challenges are concerned, I think we as chaplains and as pastors, we develop that patience, perseverance, and resilience one day at a time.
Yes, yes.
And then the passion to these ministries grows because who do you love at the heart of your heart,
Yes.
deep down,
Mhm.
is the people.
Right.
And if you love and if you have passion for people, it does happen. And the family understands. But as you said, we have to strictly take that time off.
Yes.
And I do that. I announce it beforehand in the church
Mhm.
that I won't be here for 2 Sundays. And
Yes.
that time, and then I take those 2 weeks off or 3 weeks off from work and give that time only for family or travel.
That's good. That's
So
good.
that's like a rejuvenation, refreshing from the monotony of the day-to-day work.
yeah, yeah.
So I like, yeah.
Yeah.
those are the-
I've found that sometimes when I find the life of the school tedious, I have this whole other world of the parish, which is kind of amazing, And then on the other side of the ledger, when the life of the parish gets tedious, I have this meaningful work here, and so I have a world of young people and colleagues who I love here, and then I have this whole other world of a congregation that's generally older adults. So I have these sort of two cultures that I can move sort of seamlessly through, and I find it energizing to be able to connect in such different ways with such different people, and that's been a huge reward for me personally.
And over time, you get over that, the fear, what do you call, the phenomenon of getting burned out, because diversity counts.
Yes. Yes.
In one setting, you have the same kind of people, and then you move out of the doors. There's such a lot of, you're always learning. There is some kind of creativity all the time.
Right.
And one of my professors, I still remember when I was in my 12th grade, he mentioned, change of work is rest. And I was thinking, what is he talking about?
Yes.
And I think when you move from the church, like ministry work, you've been working hard, and then you move into chaplaincy work, that's the change of work. You're refreshing yourself. Maybe.
Right.
And the same thing, you get tired with chaplains, you come back to your church and your
that's right.
sanctuary and meet people. It's a different thing. So you're getting rest there too.
Right,
It's just our mindset at times.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Looking at the church of the past, the first century church comes to my mind, and the churches during John Wesley's time. If you see there, we see that there has been adaptability, there is that relational discipleship, and there is that creativity that we see in the. It was not like an organizational, institutional organization setting, where you had the finances and you had the professional clergy. It was all on relational basis. So what I see in those old churches was people had the trust among each other, and they had that connection there. And now, and that's how it progressed. And then we had our, requirements and things that we put in place to the church that is at the present. And now we are moving to a future church which will pretty much be similar to what it was in the past. It will be looking at what is happening in the churches today. It will be, the churches will be extending beyond their walls into the community. And when they get in touch with the community, it will be like one-on-one with every person, meeting people where they are in their different situations. And it will pretty much be relational. It will be, that connectionalism will grow more. And it will be, sometimes it comes to my mind, it will be a church without walls. It is, bringing the gospel freely to others, just like how it started in the past. And that's what I look at the future church. Sometimes we are taken aback by looking at the way the church has been fracturing and the churches are declining, the doors are getting. I have a great burden for these churches. I don't want these doors to be locked. But God has a plan. And if He has a plan, the church will never end. It will grow. But we just have to change our mindset. And I believe it is going to the past again.
Yes.
Because the ministry is going to go outside the doors of church, into communities, into hospitals, into prisons, it will be more active.
Yes.
And it will be going to the immigrants. Anywhere it is possible, it will just spread. And that's what I look at the future church. And that gives me that, the sense of, good feeling, in the sense, okay, there is a future there. There is a plan, there is a purpose in this. So I just do what I have to do right now and pray about the future church, even as I see the different changes and challenges that the church is facing today. And I think chaplaincy is one of the great ways to bring that ministry to the world in different ways.
Yes. It's interesting, isn't it? This idea that we are appointed in chaplaincy to institutions, but in some ways the style of our work is less institutional than the style of the church in many ways. And so I think there's something that the church can learn through bivocational clergy who are connected to communities in quote-unquote institutional ways. For that idea that, you said it yesterday, we were chatting on the phone, the idea that, in the life of the local church, so much of our emphasis is on the saying something, the proclamation, declaring the reign of God. Where in chaplaincy, it's much more listening.
Yeah.
And that idea that I think in the past, our emphasis in the life of the church was on proclamation, right? We just had Pentecost, right? And Pentecost is very much a proclamation holiday, right? In speaking the truth of God in the language that people can understand. And I think we can recapture some of that to the past because it's very important.
Yeah.
The church standing for things, saying things, that outward projection, very important. But recapturing some of what chaplaincy has in terms of the being able to listen is kind of, we might say in the long history of the church, maybe a newer value, right, more therapeutic value. But so I think it's taking the best of our past and the best of our present, and those things are ultimately going to shape the future that we're looking for.
And yeah, you said it so well, when you talked about chaplaincy and pastoring. The thing that comes to my mind is, as you do chaplaincy and know the different ways people think from different backgrounds, and those people may never come into the building of a church.
Right.
But then you get a deeper knowledge, understanding, and discernment about how you can relate to the congregants in your church.
Yes.
And bring about that unity in the church just by knowing the human thinking and human connections.
Yes.
Based on those languages and cultures and all the things that people go through.
Right.
Many people don't want to come into a church setting and speak it out. And what happens in the church, people come to listen to the pastor. What message have you for me today? And how are you going to unfold that message from the scripture you read?
Yeah.
In chaplaincy, as you said rightly, what I shared, that's has given me that passion is, you just listen. And chaplaincy is all about the ministry of presence and ministry of silence. That way you get, and sometimes people just want you to be there and listen to them.
Yes.
And that's how the church is going to be, because you are understanding fellow humans. It's like loving God, and when you love God truly, you love your neighbor. And God unfolds that secret to you, how to interact with people as the situations come.
Yes.
So, one of the examples that my CPE director used to give me is, pastor is you preach and tell them come out of your pit. Chaplaincy is you actually go.
You go into the pit.
Sit with the person, give them their time, and then walk along with them outside the pit as they go. And chaplaincy is not about giving advice or judging. It's non-judgmental.
Yes.
Sometimes we have seen in pastoring that we say this is right and this is wrong, but now it is changing. So I think that's what's going to happen in the future church. We are going to become less judgmental, but we'll portray more love and more understanding by listening.
Yes.
And sharing the effectual things with the people concerned.
Yes. And I see this a lot, I think, in congregations that have focused memories on, pastor at a pub or things where the pastor is just available to people, just available, and I think that is a great thing. I've had the privilege of being, for the congregations I've served alongside my extension ministry, the congregations I've served in pastoral ministry have, I've often been the first part-time pastor they ever had, and been able to kind of guide them through that transition of having a full-time minister to a part-time minister who's sort of doing something else, but it's still pastoral work, I think all of those things undergird them. But thinking about the future, this is going to happen more often, I think. There's going to be more examples of people in one kind of ministry serving also in the local church as more part-time appointments become the nature of things. And one of the things that I've discovered along the way is it really can be done. You can come into a community and you can say, I won't be here all the time, but the time that we have together, we can make rich, and we can make meaningful, and we can make important, and we can create ministry, and try new things, and be joyful together, and celebrate God's love, and do all of those kinds of things. So there's that sense that when you come into a setting that's transitioning from full-time minister to part-time minister, you can often say to them, it's not over, right? God is still writing our story. There's still great things that we can do. There is still love and service and sharing the truth of God's love in this community, and none of that fades when we transition from full-time to part-time. And I think I'm encouraged by that, and I'm empowered to go in those settings. I find joy in going into those settings. Yeah. Was it good? Everything you need? Yeah.